there is a wide range of opinions on whether Democrats should pursue impeachment against Donald Trump. And I think it is an interesting question. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion, even at this late date. There are 58 Democrats who have signed on for impeachment. There are other Democrats who think 25th Amendment's the right way to go. Leadership right now doesn't believe that any of those paths should be pursued. Now, I think that there are legitimate reasons to think that, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. But as I read an article in Politico talking about why the Democrats are doing this, or in this case, not doing this, well, there was something in there that was the usual Democratic stuff that drives me crazy. So Jerry Nadler is very important to the Democrats in this regard because he's a top Democrat on the House Judiciary Committee. If the Democrats were to retake the House, which now actually looks pretty much likely, even Chris Wallace on Fox News talking about how 40 seats are likely to swing in favor of the Democrats. Well, then Jerry Nadler would be the head of the committee that would pursue impeachment if they were to go in that direction. So let's look at his quotes and let's begin to analyze this. He said, impeachment, it's not something you ought to welcome. It's not something you ought to be ready to. It's not something you want. Okay, now look, that's a fair starting point. It's totally fine. You shouldn't look forward to impeachment with glee. I mean, it depends on the facts, it depends on the situation. And you can't impeach someone because of horrible policies. I think Trump has horrible policies, but sad day for us, he won the election. That's how elections go, so go out and vote. I think he's unstable. That could be a 25th Amendment issue. But in order to do impeachment, you have to actually have something that he's done against the law. There's an argument to be made that you could do impeachment for other reasons, but it's not an argument that's likely to win. So, Robert Mueller certainly might find something on him, and I think he will. That's my personal opinion, and I think that at that point, impeachment certainly will be worth pursuing, if that's the case. Some people make an argument about conflicts of interest and the emoluments clause, and I think those are interesting arguments. But now let's go into why the Democrats have decided not to pursue this. Politico explains that in fact, Nadler's expertise in constitutional law, as well as his outsized voice opposing the Clinton impeachment in 1998, was a factor in his selection to lead committee Democrats. Now, if they put a guy who was that gung-ho against impeachment of Clinton, that is a signal that they are saying, no, we are not going to go towards impeachment. If they thought at a later date that they might go in that direction, they would have put somebody in there that does not have as rich a record against impeachment as Nadler does. Warning sign number one. Okay, Nadler continues and says, if we were in the majority and if we decide that the evidence isn't there for impeachment, or if the evidence is there, we decide it would tear the country apart too much, there's no buy-in, there's no bipartisanship, and we shouldn't do it for whatever reason. If we decide that, then it's our duty to educate the country why we decided it. Oh boy. If he left it at the first half of the sentence and said, hey, if there isn't the evidence there, well then we can't do it. It's a perfectly fair sentence to say. And a lot of Democrats might disagree. 3/4 of Democratic voters now want impeachment. But it's one thing to want impeachment, it's another thing to be able to prove it, execute it, et cetera, and to actually get him out of office. But the second half of the sentence where it says, even if there is evidence, we shouldn't do it because it might quote unquote tear the country apart. Oh God, these Democrats, So the guy who could lead impeachment, if there is evidence to suggest that he should be impeached, is as usual doing a preemptive surrender on the issue, saying even if there is evidence that he will not pursue it because the Republicans would object. Yes, some of the deplorables that support Donald Trump and the alt-right, I'm sure, and Roger Stone and all those monsters would go, oh my God, you can't do this. So you're gonna get bullied by them and you're going to preemptively say that you won't do it? Even if there is evidence. Oh, God damn. Okay, now that you go to Jared Huffman, now he supports impeachment, but even he says, this is a congressman from California, he says, as someone who favors impeachment, I feel strongly it needs to be bipartisan. I think that's one of the things Republicans got wrong in '98, that the bipartisan piece of it is assurance to the public that you're not just playing partisan games. We're a long way from Republicans joining us. Now, mixed bag there. So if you want to get him out of office completely, you need 2/3 of the Senate. So by definition, it has to be bipartisan. If you leave it at that, nothing wrong with that quote. But number one, he's going back to 98 because this is the hack stuff that a lot of Democrats and a lot of people, unfortunately, in the mainstream media believe. All politics is local. Who said that? Tip O'Neill, I know that. That's why I seem like a sage political pundit. Yeah, that Tip O'Neill said that back when there was no internet. All politics is not local anymore. All the local newspapers have been wiped out. All politics is on the internet now. So, and to some degree for old people on TV. So that's just not true. So, yeah, back in 98 might as well have been 1898 or 1798. So trying to learn lessons that are so outdated is not particularly clever. They always think like, did you know that in 98 the Republicans became unpopular when they tried an impeachment based on ridiculous grounds? Yeah, of course we all know that. But it was on ridiculous grounds. And in fact, back then I was a Republican and I thought that what Bill Clinton had done was wrong. But when they pursued impeachment, that was one of the first times that I was like, whoa, that's weird. That seems like a bridge too far. And they swung a lot of people to the other side. But that is not this situation. They're not analogous, they're from a long time ago. And it tells the other side, by the way, we think our case might be as ridiculous as your case was. No, if Mueller's got him and they have the evidence, there's a perfectly sound case to pursue. But don't surrender ahead of time, okay? But we need the Republicans to join us. If you're gonna premise your entire strategy on Republicans agreeing to do the right thing, just clean up and go home already. Unless they're on the very precipice of losing their own seat, the Republicans will, of their own accord, almost never do the right thing. Like, what are you looking for, moral fiber? You've come to the wrong place. So here's more from Politico. The debate is roiling House Democrats, with progressives forcing a debate over the issue even as vulnerable incumbents, particularly members in districts that favor Trump, worry it could jeopardize their future in Congress. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That's the answer right there. And this is what Democratic leadership does all the time. So it is not all Democrats. 58 Democrats have already signed on for the impeachment issue. Jamie Raskin doing a wonderful job with the 25th Amendment issue. I think that's actually more fruitful, okay? But when it comes to leadership, no, we have to protect the most conservative Democrats. So we will not fight forward. We will not support progressives. Instead, what we will do is try to make sure that the people in the most purple districts are the ones that rule our entire strategy. Now, look, we know politics. I don't want to lose those purple seats. Nobody wants to lose those purple seats. But right now, Donald Trump is polling at 32%. That's not in jeopardy. So when you pretend that it's in as much jeopardy as it has ever been, you're doing that to excuse inaction. And second of all, when you consistently program your entire party around the most conservative Democrats, you get to another bigger problem, which you never acknowledge, which is that you don't make the progressive case and you don't fight for the progressive case. Why? No, I don't want to endanger the blue dog Democrats. The centrist corporatist Democrats, I don't want to endanger them. Let's make sure that leadership sides with them. That is a terrible idea. That is what has led to surrender after surrender and why Republicans win elections even though Democrats have all of the demographics and all of the policy issues on their side. Okay, finally, one more piece here. For Democrats reluctant to even broach the topic, that may mean explicit evidence linking Trump to Russian collusion or obstruction of justice in Mueller's report. Anything less, Bustos and other moderate lawmakers argue, and Democrats risk imperiling their House majority almost as soon as they take control. Do you understand that? So first excuse was, well, we might lose in some of those toss-up states and toss-up districts. Now, it's that poor excuse because as I just told you, the polling indicates they're gonna win big. So they're like, yeah, that's true. But once we have the majority, we should make sure that we do nothing with it because it would imperil our next election. There's never enough excuses for the Democrats for inaction. They'll find another one and another one and another one. They keep talking about how they want to keep their powder dry. That is the driest powder in the history of politics. And then they wonder why we get the sense that they might not fight for us. It is their intention, even if they win, to wait for Republican approval before they go forward on progressive priorities. Wow, I'm so motivated. This is what a losing strategy looks like. Young Turks. You just watched the video by the Young Turks, the home of the revolution. If you'd like to get the full show, come join us and become a member. tytnetwork.com/join.